So this next part we're going to implement is we want to make sure whenever we click on this track right here, so if I click on song 5, I want song 5 to start playing. If I click on song 1, I want song 1 to start playing. And the only issue with this is we could totally do that right in here, but I think it's important to understand how to pass state updaters to children components to kind of see how that works. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to create let's call this a handle on track click. You'll notice that all my variable names sound the same. Sometimes they're really long, but I always like to make them really descriptive. And so this one's handle on track click, because when you click on the track, I want to handle that. And so we'll say, let's just set the current song index to whatever the index passed to us is, and we'll set the status to playing. Oops. Cool. Now, the next cool thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this function, and I'm going to pass this handler directly to my track, like this. I'm going to say on track click equals handle on track click. Now I'm passing a function as a prop instead of just data, and that is also totally acceptable. In JavaScript, functions are actually just objects behind the scene. Again, we don't want to go into under the hood of JavaScript too much, but essentially you can pass them by reference to the component, the child component. And so we can just say on track click, I want you to store a reference to this handle on track click function right here. And because of that, we can take this handler and I can actually access it in the track component. So I can say, okay, on click equals, and then we're going to run a function here. Now the interesting thing is, you'll notice like before we're always passing well, actually, you know what? Let's do it like this. Let's just pass this on click here, and we'll just say props.onTrackClick. We'll do this part here. So we're passing it to this actual list item inside the track component. And so we're passing this onTrackClick handler directly to the list item. So whenever we click on it, it's going to run this function. So let's just see it in action at least. We're going to pause this here, and we're just going to console.log click. Cool. And then right here, we've passed this in already, and so we should be able to click on these and click, 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 click. Cool. Looks great. However, we want to take the index of the track, and we want to set the current playing song to that index. So we need to somehow access that index. And fortunately, we have already passed it to our track right here, and that is in the variable props.position. And so a good way to do it, there's a couple ways to do this, but I'm going to show you one way because you'll see this used relatively regularly, is instead of just passing the function like this, we're going to pass an anonymous fat arrow function that will run our props.onTrackClick handler. So this is a function that calls another function. And the reason why we're doing this is because we can pass this like so. So we can just say, hey, I want you to take this right here. And this function is an anonymous function that is passed as the onClick handler. And so whenever someone clicks on this list item, it is going to then call this function, which returns another function, which calls the props.onTrackClick handler with the props.position. And let's just say minus, what is it, -1? Yeah, because we added 1 to it to make the position. And so doing this should actually work, because it might not work. Actually, no, it will work. Let's try it, at least. Bam. Ah, there we go. It does work. Lovely. And so the reason why we passed a function... Oh, that's so cool. Pause. Play. Cool. This is looking good. We love it. So it's pretty much there, right? The reason why we passed this as a function here is because if we just try to do this, for instance, props.onTrackClick like this, it will, as soon as this track component is rendered to the screen, it'll immediately call this function, and whatever it returns will be passed as the value to the onClick handler, and that is not a valid handler. And so you'll see it'll throw a nice little error for us, and you'll see, okay, let's try it, let's refresh, see what happens. Okay, this doesn't look good. We click, nothing's happening, right? And you'll get this little warning here, and there's a stack trace error, but again, instead, because it's evaluating this function immediately, it's not a valid on-click handler. This, however, this unnamed anonymous arrow function is not being called immediately. It's waiting to be called, and then as soon as it is executed, it'll return the call to this on-track click handler that we passed. And that is why this update handler actually works and the other one did not. Cool. So there we have it. Seems to be working nicely. The next step will be how to actually handle input values. So if we want to add a track to this, because this is a top 10, right? But I only have 6 songs here. So if we want to add more songs to it, we need a mechanism to do that. And that's what we're going to explore in the next video.